Happy Valentine's month, everybody. I'm the Sliders Review, and I'm here today to share with you some of my favorite Valentine's Day episodes from TV shows or even movies. Not everything is all lovey-dovey. Sometimes Valentine's Days deal with heartache and everything. So, some episodes will be romantic and lovey-dovey, while others will be very sad and heart-wrenching and stuff. But love is love. It doesn't always come with smiles and giggles and glee. So I'm here today to talk to you about Star Trek Deep Space Nine episode Change of Hearts. This is one of my all-time favorite Star Trek Deep Space Nine episodes. And the craziest thing is I really like Star Trek when there's good storytelling and there's lots of action and space battle and stuff and really cool CGI stuff and an important message that they try to send. And even though it is light on the action, it has a very emotional connection. It has a very potent message that it tries to send. This is what you call good Trek storytelling, which is something I wish to God the newer Star Trek shows would do. It's not all about the doom and gloom. It's not about saving the universe. It's not about saying a bunch of curse words and everything. It's just telling a coherent, good story that has a good message. And you're probably wondering, well, why are you using your Valentine template? Well, it's because of the emotional implications this episode has. Now, I could have this deals with Jadzia and Worf. They are now married. Now, I could have went for Valentine's Day, the episode where they actually get married. Problem is, I actually don't own no DS9 DVDs, and I don't have Paramount Plus. And so, I don't have the episode of where they get married. Plus, this is one of the episodes that I actually recorded back in the day off the good old VHR and stuff. And just had it converted to a DVD format. And so, and since this is one of my favorite eps, and I like this one more than the wedding episode, I want to tell this story more. Plus, this is, like I said before, one of my favorite episodes of these two. And, the thing about Worf and Jadzia, I really did like them as a couple. It was really cool seeing those two fall in love, be married, because when they first met, they weren't at each other's throats or nothing like that. It was mostly just she tells a lot of jokes. He likes her warrior side. Sometimes she tells too many jokes and that gets on his nerves. But it didn't start off as those two liking each other. It built over time. And even though I do like those two being together, and Dax is one of my favorite characters, and so is Worf, I actually wanted him to end up with Diana. I mean, seriously, I know it didn't feel right because it was just kind of awkward, but that's why I like it. It was like Beauty and the Beast, you know what I'm saying? Of course, she's meant to be with Riker, but when they started that whole feelings thing in TNG, it was just something unusual, and I found that very intriguing. It wasn't the norm. It was something outside the box, and I wanted to see how that was going to unfold and everything. And we get glimpses of what they would have been like in that Parallels episode, and also All Good Things. But of course, she ended up with Riker. And plus, it was really neat to see Diana, what she's like when she's kind of in pre-dating mode, because we never got to see her and Riker ever date. Just, we heard about they used to date and this and that. And they always talk very standard Star Trek to each other. But with her and Worf, she would giggle, she would laugh, she would smile, she would try to tell a joke. And it was kind of neat. It was nice seeing that side of Diana, dating Diana, So I always wanted to see those two get together, but sadly it did not happen. And then they put him with Dax when he went to DS9. Now, one interesting thing about Worf is that when he started dating Dax and got married to her, in this episode, you can really tell he is a different person. He is an evolved person. she basically made him soft. He's not his Klingon-ish type self. Even when talking to like O'Brien and everything, he sounds so human when he talks. And that's interesting because remember, his dad died at a young age, and so he was raised by humans on Earth. And even though he was raised by humans on Earth, he never acted human. He didn't act fully Klingon, but he is still the best Klingon ever on screen. And so, but when he got with her, he started to sound very human. His voice was lighter. He told jokes. It was just a really interesting transition that helped his growth and development of being the best of both worlds. The enemy of the original, the original enemy of the Federation back in the day, and then later their allies and stuff, and later enemy again. And so he was really just the best of both worlds, because he got to know that warrior side and what it's like to be Klingon, but then he knew that sensible side and what it meant to be like a caring human and stuff. And not always want to engage somebody in battle and just like chop their heads off or something like that. And, and it was just a really fascinating transition. And then, of course, what happens to her afterwards. He doesn't really go too much back in his old TNG ways. But he has when he was in the TNG movies, he had a blend of both TNG Worf and DS9 Worf. And this is why he's one of the most fascinating characters. And I still think he's way better than B'Elanna. I love B'Elanna, but Worf is just like the major Klingon. You know what I'm saying? So I'm very, very, very curious to know how he's going to be in Star Trek Picard Season 3. Because so far in the trailer, we see that he is a pacifist now, which is weird. I don't like that. Anyways, also I don't understand why he has jet white hair. Like Klingons, when they get older, they're supposed to have like grayish, almost like a dark grayish kind of like hair color, not like white, like humans. So I don't understand why they gave him that kind of hair color when he got older and stuff. And then it looks just kind of weird when it's pulled back in the ponytail. It seems like he's more human in that than he's ever been in anything else. Also, his cranial ridges look a little bit different. Again, they always change and everything. The makeup department just can't figure out what they want. But one thing I like about this episode, I love I guess you could call it impossible choice to make. Worf is left with a dire choice that he has to go through with. Does he follow his orders of command, or does he protect his wife and save her life? And it's one of those things that I would hate to be in his shoes. And this is exactly why married couples should never work together, especially in military or law enforcement. I don't even care if they're actors. Like, married couples need to stay away from each other when it comes to the workforce and everything, because you do tend to play favorites and stuff. And there's always going to be a consequence to that, because Worf is a military, officer and stuff. And he was tasked with a very, very, very important mission. And, he decided to make a choice, and it had implications and stuff. And that's what I find so fascinating about this episode, is like, he proved that he is beyond that of a military officer. He is beyond that of a warrior. He is a husband, you know what I'm saying? And he did what a husband would do. And, he put his own needs above that of like millions of lives and stuff. And it makes you wonder, did he do the right thing? Did he do the wrong thing? That's the question old Trek used to always ask you towards the end of the episode. What is the right course? Do you save one life and sacrifice millions? Or do you sacrifice that one life you love more than anything else just to save a bunch of people you don't even know? That is what I love about old Trek. And so with this episode, he and O'Brien. They're like, at Quark's, and Quark is playing. Um, I forgot the name of that game. Is it Tonga? I can't remember. With like, Jesse and a bunch of other Ferengi. And so Worf and O'Brien, they make a bet that if Jesse wins, then O'Brien owes like Worf some blood wine. And then if not, then I think Worf owes him like some type of alcoholic beverage. I can't remember what. Because Worf has won like so many games back to back and he hasn't lost. But Jadzia is really good. Well, of course, Quark wins, and O'Brien, Worf has to like pay O'Brien. Now it's funny because like this is the part where I said he's so soft and sounds so human. He's all like, "I like my blood wine sweet," and he says it in a very human kind of way. His voice isn't gravelly. He's not grumpy sounding, like none of that. He has really evolved. And because he's been on 2 different Star Trek series, now about to be 3, he's probably the most evolved Star Trek character in all of Star Trek creation and stuff. And so, what is it? So Worf and Jesse, they go back to like their quarters and they're talking about their honeymoon. And she's talking about, she wants to go here. She wants to be pampered. She wants to like, just like cut loose and all this other stuff. He thinks it's Risa, which is a nice callback to TNG when he was on Risa and got ambushed by a bunch of Ferengi and stuff. I love those callbacks and stuff. But no, she wants to go to someplace else I've never heard of before. And so I think they've been married for 2 months now. Or at least they've been dating for 2 months. Something's been going on for 2 months. I forget when the married episode is. Like I said, it's been a million years since I saw this, right? So in a way, when they, do their like, husband and wife stuff, like at night and in the morning being cutesy wootsy with each other and stuff, Major Kira calls both of them into the captain's quarters. Or his office, I should say. And she has a mission for them. There is a Kardashian who is about to go rogue. He's about to turn on the Dominion because they're doing the whole Dominion War at this time. And he has vital information that can save tons of lives. Basically, he knows where all the changelings are in the Alpha Quadrant and what their missions are and who they're pretending to be because they're shapeshifters. And so because it's in an area space that's like forbidden for Federation to go into, they have to go secretly, and they don't have the Defiant. They can't cloak or nothing like that, and it's just those 2 for a reconnaissance mission and stuff. So that was the worst part right there, where Major Kira wanted the married couple to go. She should have sent O'Brien and Worf or O'Brien and Jadzia, but she didn't do that. And O'Brien would have been a good fit because not only he's an engineer, but he has like, he's been in a war before and he has a grudge against like Kardashians. And so like, so they go there, and when they go there, it's like, they're doing their married thing, their cutesy wootsy stuff. Like she's making jokes and then he makes a joke. He's kind of like Data almost. He's all like, "Ha, that was a joke. I got it." I'm just like, who is this man talking? This isn't the Worf I remember, because he is now evolved. She has now changed Worf. And so like the question is, did she change him for the good or like worse, And so they get to the coordinates they need to go to, and they land on the planet and stuff. While they there, they set up their stuff, to like jam, like, sensors and stuff like that, but they can't use tricorders to find this man, and they have no idea where they're going. So it's a big trek they have to go through, and they're going through like this jungle type area. One of the things that pisses me off is that all the jungle animals are animals from Earth. I'm just like, come on, this is kind of like a bottle episode almost. You couldn't like, make like a fake looking puppet like an animal or something like they do in them other Star Trek shows. I mean, at least they made the lizard people, I think, in like Voyager or whatever. But anyways, so they're there, and it's a nice little monologue type, not monologue, but montage. And she, I think, hurts her ankle. He has to fix it. She's like fidgety and getting like frustrated and stuff. So let's cut from them and actually go on what's on in DS9. So on DS9, O'Brien wants to beat Quark. It's just like a male thing. He just wants to beat him and everything. But he can't figure out how to play the game. Bashir, who has a genetically engineered brain, he can learn it very fast. So Bashir, he decides to play Quark. At first, Quark won't let him because he's human, but he decides, hey, I love my Latinum. So they play. And Bashir is winning. But then Quark uses his brain to, like, throw off the focus of Bashir. And he basically brings up jem'hadar because the doctor is in love with jem'hadar and he hates that she's with Worf. So he's playing the mind game with him. He loses his focus and he loses big time. And I love it. Now I'm back with the cool stuff. And so, like, while they're there at night, well, actually, before they went on the planet, they talked to the Kardashian dude. And I love how snippy he is with Worf because they don't like Klingons and stuff. And so they're on the planet and, it's night. And they can hear animals, and Worf tells a story of how his dad took him and his brother out, like, hunting and stuff and camping, and Worf, he wanted to be one with nature, because he's so Klingon, he just wanted to rip off his clothes and run out into, like, the wild and, like, be one with nature and the animals and stuff, while his brother was scared. And so as he's telling this story, jem'hadar thinks the animals she's hearing are getting it on, but they're actually scared and they're running from something. Worf determines that it must be people coming very close to them. They hide and everything. It's the jem'hadar. And so when they fire their weapons on them, which is really the only, like, battle we get, and so jem'hadar gets hit. And when she's hit, it left an anticoagulant in her, like, blood, which is a nice callback to the ship episode, another favorite of mine. Now, it didn't hit no major organs, but it did go straight through. And that anticoagulant is being a real pain to her and stuff. And so he's doing his best to, like, dress her wound, be like the nurse, giving her as many stimulants as he can. And she's trying to fight on through, but it's really difficult. And you know how she gets when she's, like, upset. She gets angry, she starts to joke around, and he doesn't want to joke around and everything. And it's getting to the point where he's seeing that she can't keep up and she's fading away. It's to the point where she's leaning up against something and you see a big, like, splash of blood on, like, the brick coming from her back. And so, like, at night when they had to make a camp and he's trying to, like, dress her wounds again, he tells her, he's only, like, a certain distance from, like, the coordinates and to pick that guy up. And she knows she can't make it. Like, she knows, and she knows this is probably gonna be her last night and everything, right? And so, like, and it's like he tells her, like, straight up, he's giving up. Like, he's all like, in like maybe like what 42 hours, I can get you back to the runabout and everything. And she's telling him no, like, you have to complete the mission. It's their duty and everything. And he doesn't want to do that because that is his wife and he wants to protect her. And he literally tells her, like, I should never been joking around. Like, like, I have changed. Like, he admits he has changed as a person. He would have kept his guard up and been more prepared. And, and it's almost like, in a way, he's blaming her and the marriage for making him, like, neglect and weaker and stuff. But, she tells him, like, we couldn't use our tricorder, this and that. Things like that happen. But she makes him want to continue with the mission. And she tells him it's been a good 2 months. And, like, she says something that indicating that she knows her time is up as he leaves. And, he gives her the phaser, a phaser rifle to, like, protect herself. And as he's gone, you see her just bawling in tears because she don't want to die and she don't want to leave her husband and she doesn't want her husband to be a widow and everything, or widower, whatever you call it. So then we see him, like, moving about, like, the jungle and everything, and it happens. You start hearing, like, this beating noise, and it's his heart beating, and you can just hear over and over as he's looking back and forth which direction he should go, and then he takes his weapon and throws it into the tree. Then you see a scene where she's completely passed out. he checks her pulse, and then he carries her back to like the runabout. And what's interesting is when we get back to DS9, he's now talking to Captain Sisko. And Captain Sisko wants to know what the world just happened. He wants to know if Worf could have made the rendezvous and everything. And Worf told me, like, yeah, I could, but I didn't. And so, like, he wants to know why. So Worf tells him an interesting story about the first hearts in the Klingon society, about how the two hearts were formed and they fell in love, and they could hear each other's hearts beat, and how they like fought like the giants and and the gods and stuff like that. And he said he's always heard that story many years, but he never realized what it meant until he started hearing his own heartbeat. And he knew he couldn't let Jem'hadar die. So Sisko informs him that the Kardashian dude is dead. And as a result, millions more are going to die. Starfleet isn't going to like press charges or nothing like that because they don't want people to find out about their secret operations and stuff like that. The enemy finding out about how deep they were in enemy territory and stuff like that. But he tells Worf, most likely you won't get a command commission because of this. So now I am very curious to know what's going to happen in Star Trek Picard, because I think he doesn't even wear a uniform no more. And so that's really interesting. Because a lot of people wanted him to be the captain of New Enterprise, and that's not going to happen either. And so then when he goes back to see Jadzia, she's like, goofing around, talking about, hey, I remember you. She always has that sense of humor. And so she asked him straight up, did you complete the mission? And he's just like silent. And her reaction shocked me. And because she wasn't mad at all. And she's all like, are you going to be in trouble for like, saving me and stuff? And he's like, yes, but he's been in worse trouble before. The stuff that happened in TNG. Oh boy, he was cutting up in that series, man. Kill his lover, boy. He killed that man. And so, like, she's like thankful and everything, but I was very shocked. I was surprised she wasn't mad because she really wanted him to, like, complete the mission and stuff, and he didn't. And I just find that very fascinating, like her reaction to the entire thing. And so, yeah, this is one of my like all-time favorite episodes. It's just something I find very satisfying, And I just think that this is why I love Power Rangers. Crap. Sorry, I'm like, I had the TV on and I'm flipping through YouTube and some dude's holding up a Power Ranger. It took my concentration. This is why I love Star Trek and everything, because it's kind of like, I love those deep emotional stories that they tell. Now, wasn't that romantic or depressing, depending on what kind of video I just talked about? Okay, well, happy Valentine's Day, everybody. And bye.